Stress. What is stress? Well, it's a very powerful emotion, and it's when our bodies react to outside stressors that are happening every day in our lives. Stressors can be caused also by more traumatic experiences like the loss of a loved one, perhaps a divorce, or a natural disaster. The effects that stress have on our bodies may be surprising to you. First, our nervous system is stimulated. Our bodies release hormones in excessive quantities like cortisol. This is known as the stress hormone, which releases sugar into the bloodstream. Our blood pressure and blood sugar levels rise as our bodies try to adapt to the stress and go back to normal functioning. Once our bodies have said enough is enough, we reach exhaustion. All of our energy is depleted. Our tolerance to stress decreases, and we become mentally and then physically exhausted. Stress has a serious impact on our health and our hearts. Stress is one of the leading causes of heart disease. Blood pressure and heart rate from high levels of stress hormones over a prolonged period of time can cause damage to the heart and the blood vessels, which increase our risk for high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, heart failure, and other coronary diseases. Stress also impacts our mood and our behavior and has negative effects on our nervous system. Some of the effects a body can experience are chest pains, fatigue, headache, muscle tension, trouble sleeping, and our moods are impacted and can cause us to be depressed and angry. Some common terms related to stress. Optimism. This is when you expect a positive result in a situation. Self-efficacy. That's when you actually have faith in your own ability to obtain a positive result. Hardiness. Well, it's when you tend to have a more positive outlook on life and take action and have great supports in place around you. And people, and you also have good coping skills and tools to use in those situations. People who demonstrate this quality usually tend to have healthier, they tend to be healthier individuals and take good care of themselves. The fight or flight response, this means either confronting the situation or the threat head on, taking control of it, or running away from it for your own safety. The tend and befriend response. This response describes people who have a safety net of resources around them to talk to about their feelings and issues. So why is it important for us to manage stress? Well, as we discussed, it's critical to our health and well-being. When we have health problems, it just lowers our overall quality of life and happiness and well-being. So it's very important. Some kind of specific stress that come up in my job. Well, I have a very stressful job. I work in human services and I manage group homes with 10 people. I have call-outs every day. People with have to go to the hospital in a moment's notice, have behavioral issues that I have to intervene with and drop everything and go support them. So those are some stressful situations that come up in my daily job, just working with people with challenging needs. Some situations that I've handled successfully and not so successfully. One comes to mind in my personal life that happened very recently when my youngest son, who was 9, found out he had head lice. And I freaked out. I wanted to run. I didn't want to deal with it. I had zero confidence that this was going to turn out well. I was not the typical optimistic person that I usually am. I had no self-efficacy or confidence that this was going to turn out positive. In fact, I was thinking that worst case scenario, we're going to have to move because of these little bugs, but that didn't happen. So I didn't handle that one very well. Another situation that comes to mind was at work, and I feel I did handle this situation well when I had a guardian who got very, very angry and started yelling and at myself and my assistant, and it was a very tense situation. But I was able to maintain and regulate my emotions through this. I was able to limit the interaction and not let it go on. I felt very confident in my ability to keep the situation calm, and I knew that I had somebody in the wings waiting that I could go talk to, who was my supervisor, because I have a really good support system, and which I did that, and that made me, that makes me think of the tend and befriend response that we talked about earlier. So in conclusion, how can we manage stress a little better? First, you can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. Have a good support system in place. Have people you can trust around you to talk to. Try and think positively and keep your emotions under control. Time management is also a good way to cope with stress, and sometimes recognizing that we need to take a break or even walk away from a situation. And don't keep things bottled up. Write them down if you have to. That can sometimes be helpful. Thank you for listening.